At the corner of 8th and Cass Street in downtown Traverse City, you'll find the Old Town Playhouse, and this is the Stage Door. Hello, I'm Don Kuhlhorn, and welcome to Stage Door for April 2013. I'm at the Studio Theater here. We're going to be talking about the show coming up at the Studio Theater called The Pillowman. We'll also be talking about some lights. How do you see a show when you go to the theater? You see it by theatrical lights being turned on, giving you color, focusing your attention on one particular part of the stage or the other. So we'll talk a little bit about those instruments and how we use them. And then we'll do a little calendar. We only have 2 shows left and more. So stay tuned for Stage Door April 2013. We are on our way to the Studio Theater to talk with the cast of Pillowman, the upcoming studio show. So here we are on the set at the Depot Theater in the rehearsal set for The Pillowman, which opens April 11th at the Depot, 7:30.
12.
Every 12? Yeah. All right, then the dress rehearsal is...
Excellent.
and I need you to project, too, because the microphone's over here.
Yeah.
So, just letting you know that. And here are the 4 actors. There's a 5th one, correct? Although she is in a cameo role.
Yes.
And she's not here and doesn't come here until very late.
And she's spirited away immediately after she's done.
Exactly. So why don't we just go around table, just like in grammar school, your name, your character, and move around so we know who we're talking to and what we're talking about.
I'm Sid Colville, and I play Ariel.
I'm Joe Kilpatrick, and I play Michael Katurian.
Dan Mello, and I play Katurian.
David Struble, and I play Topolsky.
Okay. Now, 2 of you are cops, good cop, bad cop kind of thing. That would be you 2. What do you do to get yourself prepared for being cops? I mean, have you done any research? I know in the movies we have a lot of time in the movies. I say in the movies. Thank you. But there's a lot of research to do. Have you done research? Have you thought? How do you prepare to become cops for this particular play?
Would being incarcerated count towards any kind of...
Probably not.
That's sort of the opposite.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not good with opposites.
Yeah.
I just look at it as someone who's got to be in control of a situation when they're needed.
Okay.
And that's how I'm going about it. I try to maintain control of myself and some of the madness that goes on around me.
And you're the good cop.
I'm the good cop.
And if you're a good cop, a bad cop is really a bad cop.
That's right.
But in the good cop, bad cop sense, actually, you turn out to be a good cop, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert there. Yeah.
That's kind of it's an interesting play. It is edgy. There's a lot of edgy is not even the word. It's a PG-45, I think. But and Katurian, you are the principal character here.
Yes, I play the writer who's being accused of these murders that are happening in his town. As far as preparation, I guess I think of myself as kind of a creative person, and I try and wrap my mind around what it would be like to lose that stuff, any stuff that I had done. And then I draw a lot of my family life too, because I love my brother, and I'm about to lose my brother, and I'm about to lose my stories. They're 2 only things that I have in the world. So I draw a lot of my family life and the love that I have for them and what it would feel like to lose those things.
Okay. And Joe, you play Michael, who is challenged.
Yeah.
He's not challenged. He's slow to get things sometimes.
Yeah. Really slow. And other things he gets fairly quickly.
Yes.
Unfortunately. He's the brother, and he definitely has some problems. He spent 7 years of his youth being tortured by his parents. Them thinking that by doing that and having his brother in the room next door would encourage his creativity. So they sacrificed me for him.
Huh.
Unfortunately, it didn't end there. I grew up, sort of.
In a diminished kind of state.
A very diminished kind of state. It's just, for me, it's finding that place where he sort of stopped in his development, and yet at the same time, he has an adult body that he's dealing with and has to deal with the world kind of in an adult way. So how do the two combine to form this poor damaged soul?
Mm-hmm. How, with the subject matter, and I want to keep this, I want to make sure that everybody knows this is an adult play. With the subject matter, how do you get your mindset to be able to do it? I mean, it is definitely not something that we would ever think of doing in real life, but we can play it, and that's one of the wonderful things about acting. You can do stuff on stage that you would never do in public, but this particular play has so many twists and turns. It would almost be difficult to get your mind around wanting to do this thing in the first place.
For me, you know, and we've had this discussion on the matter and whether the subject matter was really necessary to tell a story for me, and I've come to the conclusion that it pretty much is. But personally, I've kind of had to look deeper than the vehicle that of the themes that he's trying to describe here in the play. I mean, if you just look at the vehicle and the stuff that's right up front, and we luckily had time enough to study this and really get into it in depth. And I hope that we can portray the depth of this play to an audience who's only got 2 hours to deal with it. And we've been dealing with it for a month. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But once you can get past that and look at the deeper subjects, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on.
It's also incredibly challenging as an actor because these characters are so complex. Nobody is a stereotype. Nobody is straightforward. These two especially, my work is primarily with my brother here, but there's just so many levels to all of this stuff, and the challenge as an actor is to find those and have them come out during the course of your performance. That's really an actor's show.
How do you think you're doing? I mean, you're right now, we're 2 weeks out?
From tomorrow, yeah.
2 weeks tomorrow out from going up with this thing. How do you... I mean, I saw it here. I was impressed, but it's still rehearsal. Still trying to get some of the. It's still a while yet before it's going to end. It never fully works until an audience happens, because then you get the feeling and you get responses. But how do you think you're doing now?
So I think it's going well. I've seen the development and the progress of my fellow actors, and from standing off to the side, I think a lot of it. Is getting there. I mean, there are all the issues that need to come together 2 weeks out from opening the show, but character-wise and everything, everybody continues to push and continues to explore and find out more and more about these people.
I improve every time.
Okay.
I hope.
You're really humble. He does a great job. He really does a good job. I think and if I may speak up again, I think there's a lot of good stuff going on here. I mean, there are times where he brings me to tears. I mean, he really does. And they're genuine tears. I mean, there's a lot of powerful stuff in here.
Right.
That's because I'm standing on his foot.
Well, I mean, and if you bounce, that's when it hurts. It's just standing doesn't. Okay. Now, lights and sound and all the other, and the real furniture, even though this stuff may be on stage until it's set in stone, which is a week out in Tech Week. What's going to happen during Tech Week? How are you going to? What are you anticipating problems being as when lights come on and sound comes in?
It's a freaking nightmare.
I'm thinking that next week. We're to running the show now. We're done with all the little stuff, really, and we're running the show and really fine-tuning it. I think that after we run this all next week, I think that there's always a little stumbling point there where you add the new stuff in. But I think that we're going to be strong enough there where that'll just be a stumble, and then we'll step through for the rest of the week and come on strong.
Well, adding the technical aspects, of course, always, like he mentioned, throws a monkey wrench into the work.
Sure.
But it's all part of the process. And we have enough experience, I think, as performers that, okay, we can add that, we compensate for it, and we move ahead. I mean, it's just part of the deal.
Okay. Now you three have been on the Playhouse stage before. This is your first experience on the stage.
Yeah.
What do you think so far?
I love it. I mean, this has been an awesome play to get involved in. It's, pushed me as an actor. I've only done, murder, mystery, comedy, slapstick stuff, and so this is definitely not that. And great bunch of guys to work with. I'm happy.
Good. Well, gentlemen, I wish you to break a leg. It's looking good so far, and I'll be back to see it in full-blown production. We'll see what it sounds like.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, now.
Okay, now hold on. While we're at the theater, the Depot Theater, let's talk about some technical stuff, or lights. How do you light a show? All right, so we have the dimmer packs here. These are NSI. They have 8 switches, as you can see, or 8 channels connected to these. And they each have 2,000 watts of power on them. All right. We'll come back around. On the back side, you can see that we have a bunch of plugs. Each one is associated with a circuit, and I can show you the power. Each one of these has 220, but these circuits are lined up. You can see them going this panel here, and then this panel here, and then out into the house. I can show you on the ceiling circuits analogous to here are the plugs. I have them all around the ceiling. Naturally, they're pretty much associated with a light. There's some here and all around. Okay, now let's come back to the table. Okay. Now, let's talk about the instruments we use in the studio space. We primarily use 2 instruments. That's a Fresnel and this ellipsoid, sometimes called the Lico. I've interchangeably used that. Let's look at our major light provider. And this is called a Fresnel because of this particular type of lens here. I don't know. Yeah, I think we can just barely see it here. It has a convoluted, not convoluted, but concentric circles in the lensing. If you've ever been out to a lighthouse, this is a Fresnel lens that you see. And then in here it has a lamp. You could call this a bulb if you wanted. You can call this a lamp if you wanted. I use instrument and lamp for discussion. But this Fresnel is a 6-inch Fresnel, and the purpose of this is to give a general lighting function. It just lights up a big area. It can be focused slightly by unscrewing this particular knob and then raising or lowering this, and this will tighten the beam on it. Most of the time we use it wide open. It's used in close quarters, and in our house, since we have a 10-foot ceiling, it's our best lighting option. But it gives a spray of light, and that's something we may not want in certain opportunities. In that case, then we use a Fresnel. No, I'm sorry, we use a Lico. You notice in this one, this lens is clear. It is an ellipsoidal lens. It has two kind of rounded half moons put together as an ellipsoid, and that's where we get that ellipsoidal. Its lamp is a different style lamp. These both are 500 watts. A watt is described, and we'll talk about that. But this has a focusability in that these little sliders are shutters inside the instrument so that you have a great big wide path coming out, but we can narrow this down to a very small path. This gives us a whole lot more flexibility. The problem with this is that it has to be further away from the device or the stage product you're trying to light. So we couldn't put this real close and then have a wide beam come out. It's a narrow beam that's fully adjustable, but it's narrower than this wide one. We also have, in some instances, we put out this flood. This is your regular tungsten 500 watt light, and it will provide a great unfocused wide beam to light the entire world if you care to. And if we need to, we'll put some masking on this in the form of black aluminum foil to kind of direct the light so it doesn't spray out. Speaking of that, we have something else. The ellipsoidal can be adjusted to focus its light beam. However, you can't focus this Fresnel very well, but we put barn doors on it. And they're barn doors because they look like barn doors. But when they fit on top of this lens, they stop the side light from spraying out. Makes it more directional in their light, but it's not it's not a real good solution. However, it does stop the audience from being blinded, especially in our small house. Now, lastly, we have the control board. Lights back on. This is called the two scene, in that we have one scene up here, 1 through 16 circuits, and we can control the circuits by fading these in and out. I can put up more. I have more lights on here. Let me shine for you, and then I'll turn them all out. But what I can do is in a two scene board, I can have my lights here that I want currently in a scene, and turn these bad boys on. Now, they're off, but if I use the scene faders, notice how all of a sudden I've changed my light to a different source. And then I have a master to control the whole thing. So this is a two scene board. We can program this, but generally we don't program this board because it's too small and it doesn't serve our purposes we want. We can also make this a 1-by board or another board, but usually this is how we run our shows. So, I should add that we do have one additional piece here. Well, there's still some more. I have a gobo, but that's something we can talk about a long time from now. But in the grand scheme of things, we also add color to all our sets. Typically, a warm and a cool, which is called the bastard amber, and a very cool blue that allows us to look more human-like on stage. So you get your reds, the colors of skin coming out. Or we can change colors into something different. This is kind of a pink, a blush. This is called a surprise pink. They fit over all our instruments in the grooves. And when you come in and you look at the lights, you'll see that they all should have a color in them. It's a plastic kind of material that is suitable to sustain the high heat. When you fire up one of these instruments, and you have 500 watts full coming through here, you'll find that it gets very hot. We operate with gloves when we're dealing with these things, and this becomes very hot. Let me show you a gobo. That's a little instrument. I have it here. Let me show you. This is a gobo. This is a little metal frame. You can see in this case it's a set of bars. In this case it's a checkered window. What we'll do is we have a special frame that puts this gobo into a ellipsoidal lamp like that, and then it'll project that image onto a wall wherever you have it pointed. In the Pillow Man, we have two gobos. I want you to watch for them. And they add special purposes. The part of the issue with the gobo is it doesn't transmit light as well. Its purpose is to give you a look on stage, but it will not light up somebody too effectively. So when we use our instrumentations, we have our ellipsoids, we have our Fresnels, we have barn doors that fit on it, we have gels and gel frames, we have gobos, and we all use it in our light board, using our two-scene light board. And that's the lighting here at the depot. You've often heard me say at the end of shows, if you need more information, go to the Old Town Playhouse, oneword.com, and find out what we know about the Playhouse. Well, we're going to do that right now. We're going to go to Old Town Playhouse. In this case, I'm doing a web search. You can go put it right in the address block if you want, or just go to the web search. And this is our new web page. We just put it up about a month ago, from what I understand. And as you'll notice, it has a complete information pack right on the front. These are the current productions we are offering or will offer in the near future. As you can see, Good on Paper is always playing. Pillow Man is coming in this month. An Ideal Husband is coming next month. And you can see the Three Musketeers, our Young Company presentation, will be offered in June. Now, we also have some immediate information. This is the news, all the news that's fit to be news. We have auditions for the Black and White Gala coming up shortly. We have an opportunity for a costume designer for the Three Musketeers. And we have pictures of Legally Blonde, videos, a review of it, and other informational sources. You can always track us on Facebook and see us on Twitter if we have something. I don't do that, so there it is. We have a lot of tabs up here, and the tab I'm interested in is this tab for performances. Once again, it starts talking to us about all the performances we have. We have Pillow Man coming. We'll have the other one. These are the last two of this season, 2012, 2013. But in the lower right-hand corner, we have Main Stage Archives. Click on Main Stage Archives, and you're taken to a page that shows you all the plays that have been performed, that have been presented by the Old Town Playhouse players on what we would call the main stage. Now, back in the beginning of of time immemorial, when we first opened when the Civic Players first formed, which is what they're called, they played You Can't Take It With You, and their main stage, or their stage production, was the Central High School, in the Central High School Auditorium. That's because we didn't own the Playhouse until 1966, I believe. That's when we bought it. But before that, they were playing in the Park Place Dome. They were playing at the Central High School. They played at St. Francis. They played a lot of different places. But follow that up 50 years later, in 2010, and you see You Can't Take It With You once again. And these are the performers with new digitized cameras that we took pictures, and all the bells and whistles, plus 35 pictures in in rehearsal pictures, and we can even make a slideshow of these and click through them. It's a wonderful piece. It took, I know there's only 35 here, but we took over 150 pictures to get 35. And of course, you get all the names of all the people involved. Here's the players on one side. Here's the background, the people who are behind the scenes on the other. Quite an enormous undertaking, of course. We also have in the studio theater the same kind of presentation. However, here we started in 1978, 79. We don't have the beginning, the evening of one acts. We do have the Spoon River Anthology, some of the black and whites from that era down in the studio, and we just have information on all the different plays. So we have the studio theater, which played over 150 plays. We have the main stage, which has over 255 plays to its credit. Most of them in the main stage space, but we've had several different venues that we've had to take on the road or something else. What else we also have is this search box here. If I were to select a name, and as you can see, I put in Aggie already. If I put in Aggie is one of the players in Pillow Man opening April 12th. You can see that he has 4 programs to his credit. Well, he may have played more, but this is all that we have him recorded when we put the archive together, and we're slowly trying to flesh out that archive to make it the best we got. But you can see that back when we put this up, he played Aggie, he played Craig Blackshear in An Evening with Friends, 2 one-acts. These are brand new playwrights who brought these things to the Playhouse. It was an interesting evening, to say the least. So here we are with the Playhouse archives. Every year they'll be updated with brand new information and brand new picture sets. It's a wonderful resource to come see what the Playhouse has done and where the Playhouse is going. And this is the new mainstay, or the Old Town Playhouse webpage. Well, another Stage Door is about to come to an end. But before we go, let me review the calendar for April. Of course, Pillowman opens April 12th at the Depot Theater. The house opens at 7 p.m., but the curtain is at 7:30. It is adult fare, so be warned. April 13th is Saturday in the morning, 10:30 a.m., in the Schmuckel Theater of the Playhouse, which is downstairs, is the monthly meeting of the Age to Perfection group, the Playhouse's Readers Theater. They will read material brought in by the members, or if you happen to show up and it's your first time, you can bring stuff too. On April 6th, 13th, and 27th, Good on Paper performs their improv comedy in the Schmuckel Theater. These are Saturday late nights. The show goes up at 11 p.m., but you should be there by 10:30 for the best seats. Coffee and sticky buns provided free. Ending our performance season in May is Oscar Wilde's The Ideal Husband. And this is a cast. And here is Matt McCormick's set design model for the stage. It is impressive. And here is the construction in progress. This comedy opens May 3rd on the main stage at the Playhouse, 7:30 curtain. Get your tickets early. Coming up, be ready to audition for Les Miserables in May. Details to come. And lastly, our annual fundraiser in June is the Black and White Gala. More on that next month as well. As usual, if you need further information, give the business office a call at 231-947-2210 or visit them on the web at their brand new website, oldtownplayhouse.com. If you have questions, concerns, or comments about Stage Door, give me an email at stagedoortc@gmail.com. That's it from Don Kuehlhorn at Stage Door. Break a leg.